Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a little video for you today, and basically this is to show you how I figured out people were breaking in my home and some of the things I did to identify where they were coming from. This is all before I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. Okay. And so the history is that I moved here in 2008. The previous homeowner had just died. I've since found evidence. I'm convinced he was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. Mike Lawhon was his name. Big story goes along with that. And then in 2010, my friend Angie McGee-Hurley told me about a young girl that was murdered at an oil show party, and she was coming here to my house and leaving my house and going to the party, and she was there in 5 minutes. I know that because we were talking on the phone while she drove there. And so I believe that these, actually I believe she was parked in the Home Depot parking lot, going underground somewhere there, coming back here via tunnel that you could see from the old Google Earth maps. I showed DHS where I believed it was. 2 weeks later, they poured concrete, right? I've got videos all on that. And then about a month later, I made my first report for a burglary. I figured out somebody had been inside my home, not in the attic, inside my home. A couple months after that, I made my second report for a burglary, and that time is when I heard somebody in my attic. It'll freak you out. I mean, it scared me, because then that's bizarre, and that. It's been years now, years of these crimes being allowed to be committed. Now we know that, I've identified almost 50 other homeowners across the nation, from California to Alabama, reporting people in the attic. A dozen addresses in Midland, another dozen in Odessa. Not a news story in the nation. Nobody's been arrested, I mean, it's not a what if, could be. I was recently asked about, have you ever seen anybody in the house? And yes, I was telling them 3 times I saw somebody in my home. One time I saw somebody in the attic on a camera. I had like a endoscope. It was a snake camera, had a tube on it. I had just got out of the hospital. I was still on crutches, so I was drilling a hole in the ceiling, and I take that snake and I stick that camera up there, and I had a unit here, and I stuck it up there, and I saw this young Hispanic guy, just as clear as day. Before I could get the record going on the little box there, he was out of view, or I'd had it blasted. It'd been blasted a million times by now. But like I said, 100% absolutely sure that somebody's getting in the attic. Okay. Another time, actually the first time I saw somebody in my house, I woke up one night and there was a guy that was going through my nightstand right beside my bed. Okay, real quietly in the dark, and I scared to death. I pretended to be asleep, and I just froze with fright. It's extremely scary. And now we know these are armed and dangerous criminals backed up by a secret police murder gang, and they have the press in America helping them break into homes and kill people. Okay, so now we know how dangerous they are. Okay, and then the third time I was in my bedroom, which is directly across the back patio right here, and that door over there has a glass like this door, and I could see from that door into here, and it was snowing outside, and there was a Hispanic guy, a young Hispanic guy, standing here. He was watching it snow out there. I didn't go confront him, and that was, like I said, that was after I'd been ambushed and shot. I can't tell you how dangerous these criminals are, especially with the public corruption. Even with all this evidence, they have this large gang of police that tamper with the evidence, lie in police reports, get caught doing it, and they just keep on doing it. Like it's what they do every day, and it's lawlessness. That's what's going on, is lawlessness. Let's get back to in the beginning. Like I said, I reported my first person in the attic in January 8th, 2011. Okay, you can't imagine how many things I did. I didn't think people was in the attic. I just knew they was getting in my house. I didn't know where. Actually, I thought they were coming in from a door or window or whatever. But they wasn't stealing nothing obvious. Now I know they're stealing heating, cooling, electricity. They steal services. Okay, they steal your privacy. You live under the threat of death. I have lived under the threat of death from the time I wake up till the time I go to bed for almost 10 years. And rightfully so. These are cold-blooded killers. They ambushed and shot me with my phone lines cut. Premeditated, cold-blooded murder with I'm sure they believe that, the secret police, all of them, Davis, Dickey, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale, that were under my home at the time, or Rodriguez or Chandler, they were all going to lie about it and help them get away with this for-profit murder, is what it was supposed to be. Anyways, one of the ways I saw this other videos that I could tell if somebody's in my house was by these door stops right here, okay? And see what that door stop does is it stops the door when you open it up here from banging against the wall, okay? And I got them on all my doors, okay? So when you open this door, that rotates out, okay? And it hits back here. That stops it right there, okay? But, you know, they didn't know what I was doing. When I go to work, I pushed it up against the door like this. And then when I was gone, if they opened the door, the home intruders, it would open up. And then when they closed the door, locked it up, like I hadn't been here. Yeah, they have. This stays open, okay? You have to manually push it up there. And so I come home from work, I'm like, oh, well, they open that door, they open that door, you know, day after day. I was taking pictures before I leave, when I get home for proof, you know, and then I figured out, it's not a proof problem, you know. That's the whole deal. I went for years chasing proof. Oh, you know, if I could just find more evidence, you know, if I just had 50 more homeowners, then the police would do something. And then I figured out, no, I don't think so. The police are not doing nothing because of not a lack of evidence. It's because they're corrupt. That's what's going on, you know. I mean, that's how come they get away with breaking in homes and killing innocent people like me and like the guy that lived here before me and let a girl at the Ozo party and who knows how many other people, okay. But anyway, these door stops. Also here, I'm trying to figure out how they get in the house, and you know, I'm looking there, see that gap there? I'm thinking, well, that's a lot of gap. Maybe they're coming on the outside and they're prying this open right here, you know, prying that back, and boom, they're slipping past that door lock, you know. And so I spent a whole weekend, I made brackets and put it behind the hinges on this door, another door, and the other front door, because that's what I'm thinking they're coming in, you know. I drilled little holes right here and put pins in where the hinge goes, thinking they're popping the hinges out somehow, you know. I couldn't figure out how to get in the house. I'm not even thinking about it. They got $1 million underground home put in for the bushes where they're raping and murdering little girls, and they got underground hidden access. That thought never entered my mind for some reason, you know. I'm thinking they're getting past the door. So here you can see where I drilled these little holes. I've done so much you can't even imagine. End up finally putting these extra locks on here, you know, where this lock. And then I would come in here and I'd hang this padlock on top of that, so then they couldn't get the door open, okay? Because I'm thinking they're coming in the doors, because I knew that they're coming in. I knew the doors were being opened here, okay? What I didn't know was the underground access, okay? And so this was documented on the police reports on the night of the murder attempt when I was ambushed and shot, and we now know police were under my home, okay? But what was important about that, them documenting that, is that they withheld the police report for the night of the murder attempt, January 28, 2012. It was subpoenaed by a judge, by my attorneys before the protective order here in December 2013, and they withheld it. I had requested it before that, and they had withheld it. It wasn't an accident. It was on purpose because it incriminated the police, okay? And when I finally got it, 2019, 7 years later, I saw a number, I noticed a number on the other reports that I did have that referenced a number that I didn't have, and I sent an online request for this number, and all of a sudden I see that police report. You know, 7 years of terror, death threats, break-ins to my house, people calling me crazy and all that stuff. And you know, I finally get the police report, and what it showed on this police report, here's why they were withholding it from me, it time-stamped 5 police officers being at or inside my home, and they wasn't seen arriving on the security cameras, okay? And because the security cameras did see Woodward and Naylor arrive, and 19 minutes after called out, who wasn't even dispatched. One of them was a sheriff from a whole nother county, the first one here, right? But and 4 minutes later, Lieutenant Dickey, a lieutenant, high-ranking police officer, is inside my home, and he didn't come in from the door. There was a camera on it that saw Woodward and Naylor. Well, how'd he get in the door? He didn't come in these doors because I had extra locks on them. See, you know, and that was noted on the report. And that's what was going on. These extra locks. That's how I know that they came from the underground trap door the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where I'd been ambushed and shot. It looks like it was police that tried to murder me in my home, and that would explain why they lied on police reports, why they tampered with evidence, you know, how they somehow stopped free press in America so that they can break into homes and kill people. You know, I mean, you know, that's really what's going on here. So I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to take you outside, and I'm going to show you some other things I did. Okay, this is a really amazing thing here too, is you know, I'm figured out that they're not coming in the doors or the windows, but they got to be coming in from somewhere or something. Maybe they're coming in from the roof, you know. And so I cut trees back, you know, and any kind of trees close to my house, try to stop them from you know, climbing on the tree, getting on the roof, and coming in from a trap door. And of course I put cameras in the house, you know, around the house. And actually I had a ring of cameras. One camera watched another camera, another watched another camera, watched another camera. So anybody break the plane of the camera, gets near my house, gets caught. I'd come home every night and I'd look at them cameras and never catch them on camera. I mean, it took me years after, even after the murder attempt, when I figured out they were hacking the cameras. I made a proof video on that. Another thing I did was here. There's a metal strip right here. You see that metal strip? I've since had the roof replaced. I went through and I nailed, there's a stud behind them every 16 inches or whatever, and I nailed screws. So thinking maybe they're popping the side off and that's how they're getting in and out. Because I mean, I'm not thinking about that, you know, they're coming from underground, you know. And while I'm here, I just want to make a point of this and show you. I want you to notice that the chimney stack at the bottom is real wide and the chimney stack at the top is narrow. So there's a lot of room. And actually the room is on one side. And because that's what we're going to be looking for, is some place that there's enough room for a person to come up and get into that attic. And that's one possibility. And, you know, and maybe even, you know, notice that the concrete's cracked here and the concrete's cracked there. And it goes right up to the side of the fireplace, okay? And so that might be one place. I'll show you something else. Okay, here's another one. You see the skylight that's in the bathroom right there? I'm gonna zoom it in right there. I went in and I drilled a hole in it and I put a lock on it. Then I turned that lock over and I filled it with Gorilla Glue. You're thinking, well, maybe they're opening up that skylight and they're dropping down, because I couldn't figure out how they're getting in this house, not thinking that, you know, there's a tunnel under it. Okay, here I'm in the living room. Another thing, and this is probably kind of a stupid thing, I thought, well, maybe it's young kids and they're coming in through them vents, you know, from the attic, because I knew they were coming in the main area of my house. Some doors are being opened and I've got them bolted shut, right? And so I glued them attic vents, or a few of them, the registers to the wall. You can see the glue that, you know, is right on the outside of that, on that register there, okay? And then I saw a Facebook post from a Denise Jarrett from my hometown of Hobbs, New Mexico. Oh, you know, something about gluing the attic vents. And I thought she knew they did that. She knew I did that. Nobody would ever glue the attic vents. And I was doing it because my life was threatened. Had criminals breaking in my home, you know. And so there was another thing I done. Also, since I'm in here, I'll show you this. I showed this the other day. Up there in the top, I glued that thing because I thought, well, maybe that piece of sheetrock there, they can just pick that up and they're in the attic, and then they can drop down and they get in my house right there. So, you know, here I'm try this, try that, try this, you know. I mean, these crimes went on. They go on to this day. They never stop. While I'm in here, we'll look at the fireplace there, and that's what I was showing you from the outside. That's a real possibility, is a fireplace. I don't know if I can get that open because I got too much junk. But basically what I was going to show you is it's not square. It comes back in like this. So there's room on both sides. Plus we already seen how wide it is. The other thing is right here is where the valve is. Right there. You can see it by the wall. When I first moved in here, they were burning wood down there. So I cleaned all that out and I bought some gas logs because it's already popped up for gas. And then I connected all the pipes up and everything, and I could never get gas to come out of the valve. The valve's right here, you know. And so I've never had a fireplace ever since I moved in here because I couldn't get gas. But I've been up in the attic. The pipe is still going down the wall. Just couldn't get gas here. It made me wonder if they didn't cut the pipe in the wall and take it underground so they could still get natural gas from me for heating and cooling and cooking and all that underground, you know. That's another thing. I'll show you something. Okay, so I have two attic doors here. This one's one with a fold down staircase, and I'm gonna show you here. that I rigged it, okay? See where I put that metal bar up there and I drilled them holes. I even put a lock on it, and then I thought that ain't enough, so I put this bar and it screws into the 2x4 up there to keep that door solid, because, you know, I'm thinking, well, maybe they're dropping down here from the attic down here. I'm trying to figure out how they get. I know they're in the attic, and, you know, I know they're coming down here to the living area of my house, and all the doors are bolted shut. My garage door over there, you know, I hang a lock on it, lock it every day now, and I showed the other day how they'd rigged the garage door where they could easily open it. I think that was probably used on the night that they murdered the last homeowner, Michael Lawhine. I'm going to show you the other attic entrance door that I secured. Okay, this is the hallway closet, and above it is an attic door. It's right up there. And I'm going to show you, it has a piece of wood up there now, and it's hinged, and I have another one of them locks where it's bolted shut. But when I first moved in here, it wasn't. It was just a piece of sheetrock that you just pushed up and out of the way. And I could tell where somebody stepped on it and broke it here. And even when I'm up there, I'm going, somebody's been up here before or whatever. You know, they had put weight on it. But anyway, so I was sure they wasn't coming in this attic entrance door. They're not coming in the other attic entrance door. And then you know, so I'm trying to figure out how they get in the house. I'm going to show a little more. Okay, here's a video when it snowed outside, because, you know, possibly they're still coming in from the roof with a trap door on the roof or whatever. Finally, after time and years of crimes, you know, I proved that they're not coming in from the roof. And one way I proved it's when it snowed outside. Let me show you something on this video.
One area in my bedroom, which is right behind that window, that I've heard the most noise in the attic. It's on this side, the north side, up in the attic side, and that's where I hear people, actual real people moving around, and that's where that stuff was built. I showed you that one video. Watch this, is real interesting. Look there, see that hole? There's a heat spot. You see that's very prominent there, right there at the same place, right above my room.
See, and they had a space heater up there is what they had. But there was other times where the entire roof was covered in snow, and if they were coming in and out from the roof, I would have seen their tracks. So I was 100% positive. So we know they're not coming in the doors because I got them bolted shut, and we know they're not coming in the trap door from the, you know, from the roof or from the ceiling. I also had the roof contractor over here twice. Charles Terry was in my roof one time, in my attic, checking that roof, because I'm telling them people get in my attic and I wonder if a trap door's up there. And so they're not coming in there. The only other place is up a wall, and that's what I'm going to show you next. Okay, these are two police reports when the Vivint, I paid over $1,000, had a Vivint alarm security system installed in my attic, and it dispatched the police to my home twice before I was forced to turn it off under threat of fine by the city, okay? And I want to show you on one of these reports, the one dated on October 19, 2012, which was later on in the year, about a year after I was ambushed and shot, my phone lines cut, and what I'm going to show you this report. Vivint called the police to my attic, and it was a valid call. You know, there was absolutely somebody here, okay? And here it was 2770, who we know is Stephen Bracken. He writes, "No child, it's him. He thinks there are people in the walls, not a good alarm." And I read that and I thought, I didn't say people were in the walls. I was almost offended, you know. And that wasn't the first time that I'd heard that. There was this lady that I met when I first moved here. Teresa was her name. And I remember, you know, after I made my first call for somebody in the attic, Teresa says, "I believe that you believe. You know, people are saying that you think people's in the walls. I believe that you believe." And I was offended. Like, I didn't say people were in my walls. But now I know for a fact people were in the walls, you know. And I think Teresa knew that. And I think this police officer knew that. And that was, oh, it's so funny, you know. And especially after they had ambushed and shot me with burglar alarms going off in my attic. Okay, I'm going to show you more. Okay, so now let's recap. We know they're getting in the house 100% absolutely positive, absolutely no doubt. It's not a bug, it's not a ghost, it's not a mouse. You know that, you know, as I told people, that ghosts don't carry loaded guns and shoot homeowners, and they don't dress up like Midland police and hide from the crime victim for 6 years while they have a reward offered for their identity. You know, these are burglars that have rigged this home from under this house. Multiple people documented now saying tunnels, and underground homes are here. It looks like there's one of them underground homes is my backyard. That's where it's believed that the oil show parties are going, where that young girl was murdered in 2010, which gives them a lot of motive to continue to threaten my life. They're trying to terrorize me into moving from my own home, a violation of the Hobbs Act. Okay, so let me move on to the next thing. I tell people, especially there's a whole bunch of other homeowners that are reporting people in the attic, right? And I think most all these homes are rigged in a similar manner. They're coming up with a modified wall, and then they're have a hidden entrance in the attic. And once they do that, they're trying to be quiet. I lived here for 2 years before I ever figured it out, it was going on here. I look back, I'm thinking this was happening in my home in Hobbs, and all these other homeowners all over the place, okay? But here's, I can't tell you how many people, why don't you dig? Like I'm the one that should be digging. Law enforcement should be one digging it, and they don't have to dig, because you got, more than a half dozen people documented saying tunnels and underground homes are here, and one of them was running for sheriff. You could see the underground home on Google Maps. Nobody has to dig. Here's really what all you have to do. Find the wall, find the tunnel. Okay, so we've proven they are coming up with a wall. That's why that police officer was, he thinks people in the walls, because he knew that that's exactly how they're rigging the homes, right? Because that's what they do. That's modus operandi for this organized crime ring that is rigging homes for the burglary, theft, and murders, right? Very profitable for them. It's a large crime ring. What I did was I drew a map of the whole house and every room, closets, everything, okay? And I want to show you this map. This is the wall map, okay? And then I went around with the drill and with a little piece of wire, and I drilled holes in to measure the wall depth, how deep the wall is, because most walls don't have enough room to crawl up. So you find the wall that does, you find the tunnel, okay? But you also find armed and dangerous criminals backed up by a secret police murder gang that tampers with evidence, lies on the police report, and has the press in America to help them kill one homeowner after another, okay? And so it's extremely dangerous. That's why Buddy ain't going after them. We're waiting on finding some real police officer, if there is one exists. Now let me show you this. Okay, we're back in the garage again. I'm going to show you. I went, and Jordan helped me. Remember, Jordan was here. We made the video when burglar alarms went off in the attic. See this hole? That was one hole. One of these holes went all the way through the brick mortar and come out on the other side. And then I would stick a piece of wire in there, and I'd measure it. Okay, here's another one on the same wall. And I got some wire. And this is a shish kebab deal. I'm going to take that out. That's how deep that wall is, and that's how deep it's supposed to be. A person can't fit in there. So that's when that's marked in the highlighter in yellow, that goes, I know for a fact they're not coming in from this wall. And so it's just a process elimination to find the wall, find the tunnel. Or actually you find armed and dangerous criminals backed up by secret police murder gang. I did the same thing on this wall. This is also in my garage. It's a totally different wall. I just wanted to show you here. I did it here on that side of the stud. I did it on this side of the stud, okay? I want to show you that. You can see here. Oh, I wrote here, wall, right here, because I'm putting measurements right here. I went on the inside of this closet here, and I measured over and go walls here, walls here. This is the wall, okay? So a person's not crawling up that wall. And so I'm systematically going through the entire house looking for the wall, okay? That's what I was doing. This is my utility room. This is the room I was ambushed and shot in, the tiny room. I want to show you once again. That's what I'm saying, So I drilled a hole there, checked the wall depth, and I have a mark right here on the wall, inside wall. And so basically what I'm showing there is on the outside of the house, that's where the front patio is. And I was trying to figure where that is, because, somewhere is absolutely 100% sure that the young Hispanic guy that I saw, or maybe the children that dropped the Lego toy, remember that recent video? They're coming up one of these walls. It's just find the wall. Okay, and then here I'm in the kitchen and in the pantry. There's another hole. I drilled it. It's all through this house that I've done that, And so I don't want to have to show you every one of them I did, but I'll say that I probably did 75% of the house, and to where I decided that this is getting dangerous, that if I find it, they're going to kill me, and the press is going to help them cover up my murder like they tried to do last time. The two places that I felt like were the best possibility was by the chimney stack. Okay, I showed you outside how it's real wide and it goes down. There was another home over in Odessa. Remember, I went to, made a video about it, and the manager, the apartment manager or real estate manager, whatever, she called me, invited me over. In the entire house, there wasn't an attic entrance door, which I think was code, you know. So somebody removed them, and herself and other people heard people in the attic of that house. And I'm explaining to her that, you know, how this works. You want to find it, it's probably near the chimney stack. And I went and made a video over there and showing that. But that's real possible where it is here too. It's near it's chimney stack, because see, I can't go in there. Well, I mean, I can tear out bricks and do that. But once again, we're talking about armed and dangerous criminals backed up by secret police murder gang, unprecedented lawlessness going on. Okay, this is a bedroom that I got in a storeroom for my garage sale stuff. But what I want to show you here is in this corner, I think it's this corner, and even in the other one, I couldn't drill. I so far, and I hit something, you know. And so that was actually the three places I felt like were the best possibilities for the hidden entrance in this house. And I'll show you one other thing. You look up here on the ceiling, you know, you'll see this at different places of the house. There's a piece of wire up there. I don't know if you can see it there. Let me look at this one. And I'm trying to zoom it in. Okay, see that piece of wire? I went and drilled them holes and I stuck that wire up there. It's got a flag on the other side. And I'm trying to see on the attic side if you got a false wall built up there. Because when you go from the bottom to the attic, you can't tell, like that might look like it's wall and it's set out 1.5 feet over or whatever and gives you hiding space. The other possibility is, you know, is a partially false ceiling where they crawl up and they get in that false ceiling, and that's where they can hide with a you know, trap door with it just looks like a, you know, normal house, but there's a trap door there, you know. I've shown examples of that. Okay, I'm back in the computer. The woman in Alabama that heard about my story and contacted me, she went up in her attic, and she had been reporting people in the attic to the police in Alabama, and she made these videos and emailed them to me. I'm going to show you this. This is real interesting, and it supports what I'm telling you about coming up a wall.
Installation out, and they traveled through here. All this was done, but then here was my bedroom, and here was a place that was taken out of my bedroom that we found that was a hole in my ceiling, to where I suppose they had a camera planted there. And then this right beside my bedroom, you could just drop down in here in between my walls.
So to recap, you know, I think that most of these homes are built the same way. They're, you know, the hidden entrance is a tunnel under the house coming up a modified wall, and that way they can come and go all they want without being seen. Okay, and then of course they still heating and cooling from the HVAC system up there, and you know, it's free room and board for life. You know, it's $2,000 a month or whatever. And I think most of the time it's probably the tunnel comes from the neighbor's house, because that's the shortest path, right? And so the home intruders, the criminals, the burglars, they can go to the neighbor's house, go underground, and then come over to the victim's house, you know. And that's what I was telling you. The guy that found the remains of Haley Dunn over in Scurry County, his parents lived next door to a home where the person was reporting people in the attic. That made me wonder if he wasn't part of this crime ring, you know, if that's wasn't where the burglars that are breaking that next door neighbor's house. That was 2505 Dartmouth here in Midland. I want to show you here, there was a suspected tunnel entrance in the neighbor's backyard here. I found it. And, you know, here, 3/31/08, and I'll just read this to you. It says, this was taken about 7 months before Michael Hahn was suspected of being murdered here, and the suspected tunnel entrance in the neighbor's backyard wasn't installed yet. Google Maps took this picture. So that's what I'm pointing out where the arrow is. There's nothing there in that backyard. And I wasn't here yet. I was still in Hobbs, okay, because I didn't come over till after Mike died. And then sometime between 3/31/08 and 12/05/09, the suspected tunnel entrance in the neighbor's backyard was installed. This was the time frame when it's believed that Michael Hahn was murdered here, but it's unknown if it was there when he died. And so I've wondered if this neighbor here, this east neighbor had the suspected tunnel entrance, knows something about the murder of Michael Hahn. Okay, so you can see it in that backyard, and you know, and at the same time I'm reporting people in my attic. Okay, actually I didn't make my first call until 2010. The suspected tunnel entrance can still be seen by in the neighbor's backyard on 10/2/14. I had been ambushed and shot by somebody in my home on January 28, 2012, 2 years earlier. Okay, and I was just showing you it's still there at that date. It gives me a time frame, and then here, but it's gone. Okay, so they took it out, right? And so there got to be a reason they take it out, and I think the reason was I was getting a lot of people looking at these videos, and I'd survived a murder attempt. Sometime between 10/2/14 and 4/28/16, the suspected tunnel entrance in the neighbor's backyard was removed. It was the same time frame as when a live tree was removed behind Home Depot, where another suspected tunnel entrance was located, and that's showing you here. Okay, see the trees there? Trees there. So when this tree's gone, there's another suspected tunnel entrance at the same time that suspected tunnel entrance in the neighbor's backyard's gone. And that neighbor's the one that told me one time, he says, last 4 people lived in your home, didn't live there long. I didn't think it's funny. The last one's dead. I crawled out on my hands and knees, premeditated, cold-blooded murder. God saved my life, but I'm crippled for life living under the threat of death, And so I just want to show you, anybody that's reporting these, here's how you find it. There, you don't need to dig. Digging ain't required. The problem is getting past the public corruption that's allowing these burglary, thefts, and murders. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.